Finding premium buyers to close deals is one of the biggest factors to your success as a wholesaler. One of the things I teach a lot of my students is this whole business of real estate is 80-20. 20% is actual strategies and tactics. 80% is the mindset and who you have to become in order to execute on those strategies. Why do people struggle so much to find premium buyers? Is because they don't value their buyers. The 70% formula is the biggest crock of shit that's been pushed in the coaching space for decades. Is such nonsense. Last year we did a little over 16 deals and we nearly did 2 million. I can generate multiple six figures in San Antonio simply by having 6 premium buyers on my list. That's it. Finding premium buyers to close deals is, I would say, one of the biggest factors to your success as a wholesaler, right? Especially as you're generating deals, as you're getting your business off the ground and all this. And one of the things I teach a lot of my students is this whole business of real estate is 80-20. 20% is actual strategies and tactics. 80% is the mindset and who you have to become in order to execute on those strategies. So what's interesting with this whole concept is a lot of us, and I say us because I did the same thing, we spend way too much time and effort on the strategies, right? It needs to be the strategies. I'm just missing a tactic, a technique. I promise you it's not. Tactics and techniques are all over the place. They're all over my YouTube channel. I teach you step by step how to do everything. Like, I don't hold anything back. But that's not the issue. The issue is the mindset behind it. So in this training, I'm going to tell you the best ways to find these premium buyers, but I want to start it off with the mindset so the training's not wasted. And the mindset goes a little bit like this. Why do people struggle so much to find premium buyers? Is because they don't value their buyers. The majority of people out there do not value the buyers, right? Now, and this is a massive warning label here to this video, is if you get triggered by anything I say, please don't take it personal. I have zero power to trigger you. Nobody can trigger you. The reason you're being triggered is because maybe some of this resonates. So let it sink in a little bit because you're just hurting yourself if you ignore it. Now, why is it that we don't value our buyers? Because ever since I've been in real estate, I've been told the same nonsense from literally everybody out there. And that is, when you get a deal, the buyers will be there, right? All you got to do is just get a deal. Get a good deal and the buyers are going to show up. Like, they're magically going to sniff you out. And as somebody that's done a couple hundred deals since I've been doing this for about 13 years, I promise you the buyers don't sniff you out when you have a deal. And if you're listening, put in the chat, like, how many of you thought you had a deal to only realize that nobody wants it, right? So then you're saying, oh, well, whatever. The fact is, you didn't have a deal. But that's what everybody tells you. As long as you get a deal, the buyers are going to be there. Who determines what's a deal? The buyers do, not you. I know you're going to tell me, John, I use the 70% formula. The 70% formula is the biggest crock of shit that's been pushed in the coaching space and the guru space for decades. Is such nonsense. That shit hasn't worked in years, the 70% formula. That's nonsense. That's why you're not getting it. Because why is the 70% formula nonsense? ARVs are an opinion, not a fact. 2 investors can be looking at the same property, be $20,000, $25,000 off from each other on what they think the ARV is. How much is that going to affect whether you have a deal? If they're $25,000 off and you happen to contact the wrong buyer on that one, right? The one that's $25,000 lower. And you're hoping to only make 5-10 grand on your deal. There's no margin in there. You're not going to close that. The same with repairs. Repairs are a matter of opinion. I like to do very extensive rehabs on my properties because a lot of them I like to keep as rentals. So I want to make sure that everything I do on my properties is going to last longer. Not everybody does the same thing. A lot of people, they pick up their properties and they do the bare minimum to just either get it rented or put it back on the market. I'm not judging. What I'm saying is that is different strategy. My rehab and repair numbers is probably going to be much higher than other people's rehab and repair budgets. Depends on what contractors you use. Do you GC or do you hire GC? Do you source materials or do you let somebody just pick whatever the closest materials are, right? Like all of these things are going to affect your bottom line. So when you're telling me I use the 70% formula, I already know that you're leaving a shit ton of money on the table and you probably don't know what the heck your buyers want, right? So that's the mindset piece of it, right? When we find the deal, the buyers are going to show up. That's nonsense. That's never going to happen. And then the other one is you just don't want to do it. You don't want to look for buyers. You understand? Again, this is something that everybody what they value in real estate is generating the deal. Everybody thinks generating the deal is the most important piece. It's an important piece. It's not the most important piece because you can generate as many deals as you want, but if you can't have good buyers, you're barely going to make money. Ask me how I know. One year we did a little over 36 deals and we barely crossed 400 grand. Last year we did a little over 16 deals and we nearly did 2 million. What was the difference? It definitely wasn't more deals, right? It was the quality of the buyers that we worked with. So it's not to say again that generating the deals isn't important, but what I'm saying is in my coaching program, building your buyers list is pillar number 2. Marketing for deals is pillar number 5. You should not be doing any type of marketing until you've built your buyers list. All right. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that resonates with you guys. That's the mindset piece. Now let's get into the actual strategies of it. First place I love finding my buyers is networking events. First and foremost, for the first probably 9 years of my career in real estate, I was at a networking event every single week. For the first 9 years, every single week. So I did roughly around 50 events a year, right? There was always a networking event going on. I started my own. I was always out networking. I knew everybody that was in the business. Building your buyers list, guys, is not something that you do once or when you need to, right? This is something you constantly do. This is a part of your strategy every single day is to build your buyers list. Is to speak to new potential buyers, is to check in with your other buyers. Has their criteria changed? Has everything shifted? Now, obviously in my coaching, I have hours of training on how to find, vet, and qualify your buyers. So I'm giving you more of like the overview of this so you can get after it yourself. But it's one of those things that when you go to a networking event, you don't go to speak to the people you already know. You go to speak to everybody that's a new face. The people you already know, you should have their information already. Catch up with them later over coffee or whatever you want. The people you don't know, those are the ones that you want to go talk to. Those are the people you want to introduce yourself to. And to wrap this whole thing up later, I'm going to give you just a few key questions that I like to ask just to make sure you're qualifying them correctly. But networking events, talk to as many people as quickly as possible. 5, maybe 10 minutes per person max. Don't spend all networking events talking to the same person. I get they might be a very interesting person. Maybe they're a good premium buyer, whatever that may be. But you want to move on because you don't know if they are that good and if there's somebody else that could be better, right? So you want to speak to as many people as possible. Go to every real estate networking event in your area or close enough to you to network with these buyers as much as possible. Number 2 is Facebook groups. Join every real estate investment Facebook group for your city. Now, why this matters as well is because there's a lot of buyers on there that are not necessarily active on Facebook, but they're always watching when deals pop up. So when we go to Facebook groups, what I check for is anybody that's posting a deal and they're blasting their stuff out there, and then they're getting all these people that are responding, interested, DM me, send me an email, interested, all those people. I make a list of all those people and I start reaching out to every single one of them one by one. This is why we don't blast deals. When you blast a deal, you got to inbound all that noise. You understand? And when you have a deal that you really need to move right now, inbounding all that noise, now you're taking hours of your day talking to these people instead of marketing for more deals. This is why it never works to blast deals. And you're never going to get the top dollar that way because you're going to get the first person that says yes. And to you, it's like, screw it. At least we get the deal done. That's not going to make you any money, right? It's going to make you some money, but not 50, 60 grand a deal or 130, what we did last month on one deal. Like, you're not going to be able to net that kind of profit margin when you're just scrambling to find buyers every time. So you do this with time. What I tell all my students is a minimum 5 new buyer outreach every single day, right? A minimum of 5 new buyer outreach. Me, I do 15 to 20 because this is a business and I take it very serious. But let's say you're too busy, right? Minimum 5 new buyers every single day. You outreach. Why? Because at the end of the week, you're probably going to talk to maybe 1 or 2 of those people. So if you do 5 every single day, your averages is by the end of the month, maybe you have 1, maybe 2 solid buyers. Now, you're going to see why when we get into the breakdown of pre-qualifying them, why it's only going to be that little, but it's still going to be better than nothing. I can generate multiple 6 figures in San Antonio simply by having 6 here's the other hand, 6 premium buyers on my list. That's it. I don't have a list of 20, 30, 100 buyers. That's nonsense. It's a waste of time. You understand? I got 6 solid buyers that I work with consistently. Those are all I need. So you join these Facebook groups, you find out these posts that people are submitting that they're interested in, and you DM every single one of them. Start up a conversation, start talking to them, start working them that way. The last place that I recommend, and this is just the top 3. I think I have like 7 or 8 different ways that you can find buyers. It's just depends on the situation. They're not all necessary. I think these are like my top 3 favorite. So the last one is get on every single wholesaler's buyers list that you know. So most lazy wholesalers out there, and if you're one of them, yes, I'm talking to you. Most lazy wholesalers out there build a buyers list of a stupid amount of people, right? Most people are not even real buyers. And then what they do is when they finally get something, they blast it out to that whole list. So now the same shit. You got to inbound all that. It's insane. This is why so many people that are barely doing a few deals a month have a dispo person, which blows my mind. If you're not doing 30 plus deals a month, you don't need a dispo person. It's the dumbest position to ever hire for, alongside a transactional coordinator. Now get on their list. So every time they blast a property, you have an ongoing Google Sheet or Excel doc where you put those addresses into. And once a month, go into your county assessor's office website. Don't go into the office, go to the website and check those properties if they've changed title. So as soon as one of those helps, whoever bought that property, that's an end buyer you want to be building a list of. That's simple. So you're able to figure out who are the buyers these people are marketing to, and you're able to build your own list off of it. Now, is that cheating? To me, it's like they shouldn't be that lazy to begin with. You know, it's their problem. So join their list, see every single property that gets blasted out there, every single address that gets blasted out there in your area, and have an ongoing Google Sheet, Excel sheet, whatever you prefer, and go documenting that address on there. And then once a month, just go in there and check them. When you have a decent sized team, you can do what we do where we have our VAs do this. So it's a simple rinse and repeat process. Barely takes any of your time. And if you're good at using AI, you can even set automations for these things. So you can have AI actually capture that email, that property address, put it in your sheet and check. I don't know if you can have it check the tax assessor's office. I'm pretty sure there's some way to combine those two. But it's a very simple process. This way you start building a list of these buyers. But here's the key. You have to qualify them. Now, what qualifies as a premium buyer is somebody that's doing between 7 and 12 deals a year. Those numbers are very important. Why 7? Anybody that does less than 7 deals a year typically can only handle 1 deal at a time. This is an issue because if you don't catch them right in that little sweet spot where they just sold the deal and they're looking for the next one, they won't be buying because they like to do just 1 deal at a time. Somebody that's doing at least 7 deals, they can handle multiple deals at once. So they're always, I wouldn't say always, but most of the time they're buying, right? So you have a better likelihood of when you get a deal in the areas that they want, you're able to close them. Why 12? Because I played with these numbers. Guys, 13 years. I have plenty of data to back all this stuff up. Anything over 12 deals a year, what I've learned is they have more than enough options to not have to pay premium for your deals. So, for example, in San Antonio, I buy properties, right? I buy properties all the time. I tell my own students that are in San Antonio, I'm like, you should never have me on your buyers list because I will never pay premium because I can generate my own deals. You understand? Because I can generate my own deals, I have a massive network of people that are always bringing me deals. I never have to pay premium, and nor will I ever. But anybody that's doing between 7 and 12 deals a year, typically they are buying from wholesalers and real estate agents, right? Off the MLS. So these are the buyers. These are the people that are paying premium for deals. These are the people that have to pay premium because they can't generate a deal themselves. And that's the third key, is making sure that they don't generate their own deals. Anybody that generates their own deals, if they do it correctly, they should never buy a property from you that is considered as a premium buyer for you, right? Because they're going to be substantially overpaying. For example, the low end flip I would take on, low profit flip I would take on in San Antonio is about $70,000 profit. I have buyers on my list that their minimum profit is 20 grand. Not criticizing, right? Some people like 20 grand. They're happy with 20 grand. I wouldn't get out of bed for less than 45 on a wholesale, and definitely not doing a flip for 20. Out of your mind. Done those for way too long, not worth it for me. I want flips that are $70,000. So if you have me as one of your buyers that wants a profit margin of 70 grand versus another buyer that wants a profit margin of 20 grand, who do you think is going to make you the most money on that deal? Right? It's the guy with the 20 grand. They got more wiggle room than I do. So even if you are good at getting deals on the contract, that buyer is always going to pay you the premium. So those are the buyers you want to go after. People like that. Now, we do have second tier buyers lists, and we'll probably create a training on that later. But these are the criteria that we look for. We also look for, I ask for their funding sources. Why does the funding source matter to me? Because I need to know how quickly can they close, and do they even know how to work with this? A lot of people that they use hard money. For me, a lot of hard money buyers it's a bit of a red flag. I'll call it an orange flag to not make it red. Because if you're using hard money lenders, typically is because you either haven't done this long enough or you're too lazy. Hard money lenders, they're not beneficial by any means. They're only beneficial to new people, right? That have no experience. I've never used a hard money lender, and I don't think I will ever use a hard money lender. I borrow from private individuals, right? Because the terms are more favorable, I have more flexibility, and it just makes more sense for me. So if I deal with buyers that are using hard money lenders, I like to dig deeper. How many deals have you done with them? Do you know how much out of pocket you need? Because the last thing you want is to come to the closing table and your buyer to say, oh, shoot, I didn't know I had to come out of pocket $26,000 for this. And you're like, dude, you should know this. They should, but they don't because they're new. And you didn't vet them properly, right? So you want to make sure, what does their funding source look like? Private individual, cash. If they're using their own cash, you need to know that they're going to get tapped out at some point, right? Not many people have millions of dollars available to them. Few people have just a couple $100,000. They can do a deal at a time. So if they do a deal or so, that's pretty much when you tap them out. So you want to make sure you use them for a deal that's going to be a decent use of that buyer. And you want to make sure that when you are asking them questions, is don't ask them where they want properties. I can't tell you how many buyers I've spoken to that have no idea. They just don't know. They don't spend time building out their buyer's box. They don't understand. They look at the numbers, right? Which they should. But what you need to know as a marketer is, where the hell should you be marketing? The whole city is not an answer. You should not be marketing in the whole city. So the question, and this is just a little bonus tip, all right? The question you want to ask all your buyers when you're vetting them is, where would you not like to buy a house? That question gets you a much better answer than asking them where they would like to buy a house. When you ask a buyer where they don't, They're going to tell you style of homes they don't like, year build, sides of town, areas, uh, all these things. Because they're like, I definitely don't want to be in these area, these pockets, these things, blah, blah, blah. But when you ask them, where do you want to be? They're like, well, anywhere the deal makes sense. I'm like, attaboy, I hope you buy deals that make sense, right? Like, that doesn't help me. I need to know where don't you want to be at. Because then when I create my marketing campaigns, when I go after leads, I go after very targeted areas that I know as soon as I generate a deal, you're ready to go. The last thing you want to do is do what most people do is they do a bunch of random ass marketing and they're like, John, I got a deal. And I'm like, how do you know? Do you have a buyer for it? No, not yet. So you just have a contract. You don't have a deal yet. And those things suck because they beat you down. Those situations beat you down because every time you think you finally got somebody on the contract and you can't find a buyer, guess what you got to do? You got to back out of that. And when you got to back out of that, you look like an ass, right? And you get all excited because you're finally going to get paid. But guess what? You're not. Build your buyers list first. Now, if you're interested in having some more training and accountability and a support system, I offer you to jump on a free strategy call with me. And we will see if the mastermind, if you even qualify for it, if it makes sense for you guys. But it's one of those things that you need to build your business the right way. And it's just not been taught that way since I started. I mean, this is why I even created my program because it wasn't taught this way. If I was starting from zero, how would I begin? And I will begin by building my buyers list first. When you build your buyers list first and you have premium buyers, buyers that are going to pay you $60,000, $70,000 for an assignment fee, maybe not knowingly, you'll do a double close on those. Typically, anything over 30 grand, I like to double close on. But that's their criteria, right? Because they need people like you. So I've created like hours of training on how to do this. You understand? Like this is something that I believe we all need to do first and always keep doing. But again, most of you guys, most of us don't value the buyers. So we only look for them when we really need them. So again, if you want, just go to, I believe it's pwmcall.com. pwmcall.com. We'll put it in the chat in the description. And you could just schedule a strategy call with me. And we'll just hop on. The strategy call is free. So we'll hop on. I'll take a look at your business. And I'll make sure that, see if, even if it makes sense. Because some people is just what you're trying to build and what I teach just don't align. So anything other than that, if you guys have any questions, I'll stick around for a few more minutes. Just drop it in the chat. Let me know what questions you guys might have that I can help you with. But yeah, that's the bulk of the training.